What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Dynasty Coaches podcast. I'm your host, as always, Coach Dylan, along with Coach Nick. Coach Charlie's going to be on here in just a couple minutes with us, so we got him back this week. But we got a good show for you guys today. We're going to start out with the news and notes. There's a couple things that happened around the league this week, so we'll do that. And then we're going to look at a bunch of players, have them battle against each other on who we would take in these situations. A couple teammates and a couple guys that have some similar traits. So then at the end here, we're going to evaluate 3 trades that I picked out again. I like doing that last week. So we will evaluate the trades and explain our thought process on them, and then tell you guys which one we like the best, so which side. So we want to start out with some news and notes here. The Browns are nearing an extension with tight end David Njoku. There's not a whole lot of targets in Cleveland right now, so do you think that David Njoku could be a number 1 tight end this year for the Browns?
Number 1, yes, but almost by default. And I think the extension had to happen just because there's not a whole lot of people out there right now that they could pick up that would be on that same kind of skill level and the same bar as he is.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of realized that. I think he knows that. And yeah, it was an inevitable thing. They had to get him signed so they could continue to have his presence.
Do you think that he becomes the number 2 target for Deshaun Watson?
Well, yeah, because you got Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper, and him.
And then the rookie now, David Bell. I believe they got David Bell.
So Njoku, Sands, Peoples-Jones? Because, Amari's clearly the number 1 there. So I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of people are high on Donovan Peoples-Jones this year. I read somewhere that he was one of the higher receivers in contested catches last year. So, I mean, the guy's like 6'5", so
it's a tall target.
He's got the height for sure. But I don't know. I think David Njoku could be a number 1 tight end. I think the tight end position is really weak, so you can throw him in one of those, take a shot on tight ends. And who knows? I mean, there's really only 4 or 5 legit tight ends that you can rely on every week to get you good numbers. So,
but I think it'd be a good pickup for people.
Yeah. So, moving on, Michael Thomas. The Saints say Michael Thomas is not quite ready yet, but he should be ready by training camp. Does this worry you at all?
Of course it does. And I think it worries the team, which is why they spent what they did to go get Chris Olave, right? I absolutely think that it worries everybody who's tied to that organization or is following that organization or is a fan of that organization. Yeah. And that's long been the question, right? Since he first went out was, will he come back the same player? Is he ever going to be able to repeat even 3/4 of what he did during his record-setting season? And what will he be without Drew Brees?
Yeah. It's interesting in the fact that you still have June, July, and August for him to come back. A little bit of August before training camp starts, but you still have 3 months before the season starts. But at the same time, he should be close to 100% by now because he didn't play at 1 snap last year. So you'd like to see him being 100% at OTAs, participating fully. But like I said, there's still some time. So it worries me a little bit, but I'm not like panicking about him. I mean, their offense is gonna be decent. So
decent. Come on, give him a bit more credit than that. They have a sneaky good team right now. People aren't looking at him, but they got a sneaky good team.
They have a sneaky good team. I said that last time, but I still don't predict them to be a top 10 offense in the league. So And I'll make the bet with you right now that they are.
Let's do it. Who has a better offense by the end of the season, the Broncos or the Saints? I will take it straight up right now.
I'll make a bet with you right now that the Broncos do.
All right, $100 on the line, on the internet. Who has the better offense, Broncos or Saints?
100%. I agree with that.
All right, let's
get right here. Moving on here, Colin Kaepernick has a workout with the Raiders. Do you think that he could become a thing and be a threat to Derek Carr?
No. Sadly, I think it's a. I don't like to say the term stunt, but I don't think that he'll end up on a roster. I just don't know that a team is going to take that on, and I don't know that a team who has, as recently as the Raiders have, gone through a scandal of their own, bring a tumultuous player like that onto a field. I just don't. I don't know.
What if I told you that I believe it's their offensive coordinator? The Raiders' offensive coordinator was the offensive coordinator in San Francisco whenever he played for them. That worry?
It still won't sway me per se. It depends. I don't know. We haven't heard a lot from Kaepernick, right? Do I think the man deserves to play the sport that he was clearly gifted to play? Then yeah, absolutely. I do. I think he needs to come in and he needs to play. The thing is I don't know that teams are going to be looking at his talent and his talent alone, right? They're going to be looking at what his name brings to the rest of that team and what it brings to the organization, to the city, and to all the politics of it, unfortunately. So can a team stomach the politics to keep the talent on the roster? Again, I'm not saying that he's going to start anything or cause anything, but his name, it just carries the weight. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to see him play again. He was a very talented player. I don't know. I'd like to see him play. If he plays, cool. I'm all for it. I think the Raiders would be a good fit for him, but do I think he's a threat to Carr? I mean, I want to say no. He's been out of the game for so long. You just want to kind of generally say no, but I mean, if he comes into any form that he had before we stepped away from the game, yeah, I think he could be.
Yeah, I agree with you on just his name is going to be a distraction, especially in Vegas. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a threat at all to Carr. I think he's probably going to fall into the Mariota role where they might have a couple plays designed for him in the offense. But, I mean, Derek Carr's a good quarterback. He's finished as a very high number 2 quarterback for a while.
Yeah.
Probably 14, 15 in fantasy. I mean, that's just a guess, but I would assume that it's not too much farther down. I mean, last year 14, 2020, he finished 13. So, I mean, he's always on the cusp of that number 1 quarterback. So, and that's doing it with mediocre weapons.
Well, yeah, and Ruggs was supposed to be the solution to that, right? Well, can we see what he did with Ruggs, and then obviously
Brian Edwards.
So
I mean, really, the only weapon he's had is Darren Waller.
Yeah, and see what he's done with his other wide receiver. I forgot.
Hunter Renfrow, yeah, but
Renfrow.
I mean, he's got Devontae Adams down.
Yeah, he's got arguably the best wide receiver in football. Yeah. So we'll see what they can do with each other. We'll see what they can do paired up. This year will tell a lot about his ability. Mm-hmm. But I 100% agree with you. This is the first thing I thought of, that Kaepernick and Mariota are much the same player. They're mirrors of each other. Do I think Kaepernick in his time had a bit of a better arm than Mariota? Yeah, I do. His ability to run, I think, was a bit better than Mariota's too. But realistically, it's like Mariota 1A, Kaepernick like maybe 1A+. I mean, they're not real different.
Yeah, I agree. Mariota's problem was always his throwing, not his rushing. So Kaepernick was good. Who knows what he's going to be like now? I mean, he's been out of the league since 2016.
That's my biggest problem, man. He's been out of the league for almost 7 years.
Yep. So, And then the last news and notes here. Frank Wright says that if he played fantasy, he would be drafting Nyheim Hines this year. Is that a tell that Nyheim Hines is going to have a bigger role and cut into Jonathan Taylor's workload?
God, no. No. Not at all. There's no way on God's green, unholy earth that will ever happen.
I agree, but I mean, it's hard to listen to coach speak at this point in the year because there's nothing going on there. I mean, they're just going to say a bunch of stupid shit. But hopefully Hines is not a thing like he was Taylor's rookie year. And let Taylor have the ball 100% of the time.
Here's my thing, right? Coaches do not, and I repeat, do not like to have to go through and redo things, right? If they find a solution, they're not going to retool the offense just to try to bring some other guy in when something's already working.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't bring in a secondary quarterback to run 2 or 3 plays a game when you have a player like Tom Brady or like Aaron Rodgers or Drew in his time. You don't bring a player in to change pace when you have something that's working already. So Taylor proved last year. Had Taylor struggled last year, okay, yeah, I could see maybe talking up another running back, but he proved beyond doubt that he's the guy there. I don't know why they would bring somebody up and try to retool their offense just to get somebody a few more touches in fantasy. That doesn't make sense.
I agree. That would be very stupid of Frank Wright to take Jonathan Taylor off the field for Nyheim Hines. If you're going to do anything, make sure – use Nyheim Hines more as a receiver. And,
like a Darren Sproles.
Yeah. Darren Sproles or Aaron Jones in Green Bay, something like that. So, But that'll do it for the news and notes. Now let's move on to the first segment here. We're going to be looking at teammates. These two are teammates, but not everybody's going to be teammates on this in this segment. So we'll start out with Ronald Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Stats from 2020 to 2021. Yards, favor Jones. Yards per carry, favor Jones. Yards after carry, favor Jones. Missed tackles forced, favor CEH. Bay percentage is your breakaway percentage. 15-plus yard runs, favor Jones. TDs, favor Jones. And fumbles, favor CEH. All right. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Hi, Charlie. How you doing?
We're just getting into our first verses here. Ronald Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chiefs running backs. You can see by the slide here, all those stats pretty much favor Jones. What do you guys think? Who's the guy to own in this backfield, or own both of them? Is it going to be a committee approach?
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a you want to own both type of thing here, at least in my mind. Clyde Edwards-Helaire does have the first round draft capital pedigree attached to him, so the Chiefs had some expectations when they brought him in, and he hasn't necessarily lived up to them yet. So that's why they're bringing in Ronald Jones, and they each kind of have their own styles of play. Ronald Jones, typically, at least in the past with the Bucs, wasn't too much of a pass catcher. That's what they had Giovanni Bernard and guys like that for. So he was a, basically first and second down type of back when needed to be. And he did have a lot of issues with turnovers. You can see right there, Clyde has less issues with ball security than Jones has had in his career. And as with Clyde, injuries have been a factor. Even just, kind of like the will to go out there and work and do stuff. I know there's an issue with the Chiefs coaching staff as well. So, I kind of feel like they're going to be splitting these guys to this year to, suit whatever Patrick Mahomes needs best. So, and honestly, until we get into camp and see right now, I can't really pick one or the other. I'm gonna say it's a split. And if you're gonna have one, you should have the other.
Yeah, I agree with Charlie. I think it's going to be kind of a handcuffing type procedure. If you're going to take one, you're going to want to try to find the other one as well. For me, I took Jones. I've had Jones on my team since he came into the NFL, and it's been one kind of season to the next. Where I favor, I think, CEH in this move is that Jones has had top 3 line the entire time he's played in the NFL. And then the last couple of years with Brady, he's had a wonderful general on the field. He's had lots of weapons around him, lots of pressure that wasn't on him to perform, and he still couldn't perform. So I think I take Clyde in this scenario. I do agree with Charlie, though, that it's going to be kind of hard to pick one with any kind of certainty until we see how the team uses them. Get them into training camps, see what the teams are going to do with them, what the coordinators are going to do, and like you said, what Holmes wants. But for me, I lean towards more the CEH side of this one, just because Jones has kind of bit me in the backside a few times for fantasy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the receiving work, because they're both pretty good receivers. I mean, CEH had 54 his rookie year, only 23 last year, 54 targets, 23 last year. And then Jones, I mean, he's had 2 years of 40-plus targets. So I think whoever gets that primary receiving role could be the lead back to own, because honestly, I think it's kind of a wash on who's the better rusher. So we'll see. I mean, I think that CEH is kind of – I mean, he's been a bust. We could say it. He's been a bust of what they thought they were getting whenever they drafted him. I mean, they were saying he's the next – who was it, Brian Westbrook or whatever Andrew Reid said. So he's been a bust. I think if CEH comes out slow, Ronald Jones could take him as the lead back here after a couple weeks. So, but we'll see. I mean, I think that owning both of them is the way to go, like you guys said. So, moving on here, we'll go Chase Claypool or George Pickens. Claypool drafted in the second round in 2019, and then last year, or in 2020, he finished 22nd in PPR, and then 2021 last year he kind of fell off, finished 37th in PPR. Then they got George Pickens, drafted in the second round of this year's draft, and then you can see on the tweet there from Michael Fabiano. I've talked to the Steelers coaching staff, and they're really impressed with George Pickens. Do you think that George Pickens is the second receiver there, or is he going to kind of come in as the third and have to prove it?
I think it's going to be Pickens. They drafted him high in the second round. You know, that's significant capital. You don't waste that. And so far he's impressed in training camp. Obviously, the Steelers coaching staff likes what they see. And with Chase Claypool kind of coming off a down year, you do kind of wonder what his deal is. Though I will say that could have been attributed to Ben Roethlisberger's lackluster final year under center for the Steelers. But this is the Dynasty Coaches podcast. We're looking at things with a dynasty angle, and I do think even for this year, though, that George Pickens could step in and have a big role, and especially for dynasty, I think he's going to sooner rather than later end up being the wide receiver one in Pittsburgh, especially since I believe Deontay Johnson's only under contract for either this year or next year. I think not too much longer, regardless. Mm-hmm. And that's going to leave a gaping hole to step in, and I think George Pickens is the receiver on that team most suited to do so.
Yeah, he will be a unrestricted free agent in 2024. So,
yeah, I think it'll be Pickens too. Claypool's another one of those guys who I took and kind of turned around and bit me in the backside. So, Claypool, and you can say it like Charlie said, was it the down or the demise of Roethlisberger? Was it his final kind of season that kind of led to his lack in production? But at the same time, is coming in with a rookie QB going to be any better? I don't know. What do you take? You take the aging vet, or do you take the brand new kid who doesn't know what he's doing yet? I don't know. it's kind of a toss-up for me. So I don't have a lot of faith, I guess, is what I was telling the whole backstory for in Mr. Claypool. Like Charlie said, Pickens is a second rounder. It's significant draft capital. It's not somebody that you're just going to pick and put on a special teams and say, good luck, fight your way to the top. So I think he's going to be given significant opportunity. And yeah, absolutely. Do I think he's going to automatically start as the number 2 guy? No, out of respect for Claypool, he'll probably be that third person, but I think he will very, very likely probably in the first quarter of the season overtake Mr. Claypool. So he'll overtake that position.
Yeah, I'm just I would go Pickens here too. I know that they're both second round picks, but I mean Claypool, I think the down year last year kind of hurt him. Like you said, Roethlisberger could be a big deal with that, but they're not getting it's not like they have a huge upgrade over him this year. We'll see what Kenny Pickett is. Maybe he's a big upgrade. I don't know. We don't know yet. But I'm wondering, Chase Claypool was really good his rookie year, but remember he had those 2 rushing touchdowns. He was used as a rusher a lot on the goal line also. So I'm wondering, I know they have Najee there, but do they use Claypool a little bit in like a Debo role where he might be used in the rushing role a little bit more? Do you guys think?
I don't think it's very likely. I mean, every team, during the year, there'll be the opportunity where they do a couple end arounds or just some trick plays where they get the wide receivers involved in the rushing game. But I don't think they're really going to use Chase Claypool too much in the Debo role. I feel like the Debo role there's a reason it's called the Debo role. It's unique to Debo Samuel. No. And you don't see too many other teams trying to replicate that too much. And I don't think that Chase Claypool is going to be seeing too many carries on a per game basis.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, like Travis said, you could try to get cute a couple of times, but DCs aren't getting paid millions of dollars to allow the cute shit to keep happening. So, you might get lucky in a game or 2, or even maybe 3 or 4 if you're really, really clever about it. But DCs are going to pick that up and eat it alive. I don't think that's going to be a role for him.
No. Sounds good. Let's go and move on here. Travis Etienne, Cam Akers, and J.K. Dobbins. They're all really young running backs. All have star potential. Etienne had List frank ligament tear on August 16th of 2022. Akers had the torn Achilles on July 19th, 2021. As we know, he came back for the playoffs. And then Dobbins ACL tear on August 28th, 2021. They're all coming off what should have been season-ending injuries. I know Akers came back, but who you got here? I mean, which way do you go?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the only person on this list without like a significant backup or serious player behind him is J.K. Dobbins, because in Jacksonville with Etienne, you still have James Robinson, who, as we all know, can be a very effective running back for fantasy. And we still have Darrell Henderson, who obviously isn't as quite effective, but showed that he could step up and produce in the role when he needed to be with the Rams. But when J.K. Dobbins went down last year, the Ravens went makeshift.
But you got
Dobbins, obviously, right. I'm getting to that. It did work. And that's unique to the Ravens system. But my point is there was no real serious competition, and there still isn't any serious competition behind J.K. Dobbins. And when he's healthy, J.K. Dobbins has shown that ability to be a 3-down back on the field and can be an absolute monster. Whereas with these other guys, we might see a little more of a timeshare, maybe some shared carries. I can't say I'm seeing that with Dobbins. I think he has the opportunity to come in right out of the gate and just produce off the bat without too many issues compared to these other 2 guys.
Yeah, I agree with what Charlie's saying there. I think Dobbins is in the most comfortable position as far as his competition and anything else behind him. And he did. He had a great season, and then the injury. He was just unfortunately part of that abysmal black hole of voodoo dolls that somebody cast on the Ravens that year. I don't really know what the hell happened down there. Something in the water. I am going to, for fantasy, you should absolutely take Dobbins. Anybody listening to this, please, for the love of God, take Dobbins if you have a choice between the three of these individuals. For me, I am really, really, really curious to see what Etienne does. I'm a big Ducks fan, go O. So I am all about seeing what Etienne can come in and what he can do.
Yeah. I know James Robinson is there, but he is coming off one of his bigger injuries, like torn Achilles. I mean, we don't always see running backs come back great from that. So who knows what James Robinson is going to be whenever he comes back. You still have Henderson, like you said, in LA, but I don't know. It's just even last year, it seemed like they wanted to use Michelle more than Henderson.
That really only came towards the end of the year, though.
Yeah, I don't know what Henderson did to Sean McVay, but it's like he doesn't want to use him.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I mean, I think Akers is still gonna be the 1A without question in that backfield, but I think there might be a little more of maybe like a 70-30, 80-20. Whereas I don't really see that being an issue with J.K. Dobbins at all. I think that's like 100% or like 90% J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Gus Edwards can become anything. I mean, Gus Edwards was decent before he got hurt too. But like I said, I think out of everybody, all three of these guys, Gus Edwards is probably the worst backup out of all of them. So Dobbins has the best chance at the majority of touches. So I would go Dobbins, like you guys said, but I think it's hard with the other two because one, you have Cam Akers, who's in a great Rams offense, but who knows what Jacksonville is going to be like under their new coach Doug Peterson.
And another thing to think about here, right? As we're spitballing ideas. Akers has taken NFL snaps, right? He's taken those hits. He's taken that damage. J.K. Dobbins has taken those hits, taken that damage. And we're talking about Akers and Dobbins being the clear number ones, right? They're going to be the guys that take those balls after significant injuries. They're going to be under the pressure to take those snaps. Etienne never saw the field.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he took the hits in college, but we all know that college versus NFL, that's two completely different, types of damage and hit that a running back takes. And he's younger. I mean, I don't think it's much younger. He's probably only like 2 years younger than the rest of these guys, 2 or 3. But that's significant in a running back. So if you're looking at long-term dynasty, depending on what your running back room looks like, maybe you do take the chance on Etienne.
So Etienne is actually older than Akers.
Oh, shit. Look at that.
Etienne is 23. Akers is 22.
Well, there you go.
So, I don't know. It intrigues me with the connection, the college connection that Lawrence and Etienne had also. But I think it's probably going to be Dobbins, Akers, and then Etienne for me just because of the offense in L.A.
Yeah, make no mistake. There's no explaining away that J.K. Dobbins should be your clear choice out of the three of these if you have, but there is some curiosity for me with Etienne.
Yeah. Absolutely. Etienne has that mystery factor that we're all looking forward to seeing what he can do when he finally gets on the field.
Yep. I think if you're trying to buy one of these, I think Etienne could probably be the cheapest for you guys to buy right now. So, moving on though. Whoops. Zach Wilson or Mac Jones?
Why does that picture of Wilson look like it's animated?
Zach Wilson finished as the 30th fantasy QB last year. Mac Jones is the 18th fantasy QB. Zach Wilson added Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, CJ Uzomah, and Tyler Conklin. Mac Jones added Devontae Parker, Tyquan Thornton, but he lost Josh McDaniels to Vegas. Who you guys got here? I know Mac Jones was legit last year, but Zach Wilson has all these weapons now. Who you guys got?
So I will say this. I like both of these guys. I have both of them in one of my Superflex leagues. I like what they both can bring to the table. But in terms of this exercise, give me Zach Wilson every single day of the week. I mean, the Jets did everything right this offseason to make sure that Zach Wilson has all the tools that he needs to succeed. You bring in Garrett Wilson, a top-flight alpha wide receiver out of Ohio State. You bring in Breece Hall, who can be that 3-down running back, or, just a breath of fresh air, an elite running back in that room. You bring in a couple, competent tight ends, and CG Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, just reliable targets for Zach Wilson. And with already, which I think is a decent offensive line, enough to keep him upright most of the time, that would spell good things for him to succeed. Whereas with the Patriots, they didn't really do too much. I mean, you bring in Devontae Parker. I mean, I guess that's all right. He's a de facto number one by default because who was it before? Nelson Aguilar? I mean, it was brutally bad. Honestly, it probably might have been Hunter Henry, so that kind of speaks to things. Tyquan Thornton is interesting. He's kind of a burner type. But we've seen the Patriots offense. They like the ground and pound. We saw it last year. When Mac Jones had to throw when the team was behind it wasn't always the prettiest thing. Granted that you can see improvement. It was his rookie year. But Belichick likes to use his defense and run the ball and win low-scoring games when he needs to. And losing Josh McDaniels isn't a good thing either because I think he's one of the better offensive minds in the NFL. And it honestly looks right now like they don't have an offensive coordinator yet. It's a mismatch. Like I know former Giants head coach Joe Judge went over there and he seems to think that he wants to call some plays and I'm just thinking to myself, after what you did to ruin the Giants, by all means go ruin the Patriots. But I do like Wilson for this exercise. And it also doesn't help that the Patriots traded Shaq Mason away for pennies on the dollar. So you're not helping the protection for your quarterback either. So New England seems to find a way to succeed, but I don't think it spells too much success for Mac Jones when you compare it to Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna take the guy that looks like he's in a Dragon Ball Z anime right now. I don't know why he does, but he totally does. Like GI Abercrombie over here. So yeah, I take Wilson too. I mean, for crying out loud, the weapons that the team added, if Wilson doesn't succeed this year, it'll be completely his entirely own fault. Like it really will. They have given this kid everything that they could possibly give him. Besides, I don't know, an iron wall in front of him to protect him, everything he could want is there. So I'll take Wilson. I'll take the upside with Wilson all day long, right? And you look at the Patriots, like Charlie said, did they get really any worse player-wise? No. Personnel-wise, they didn't really get any worse. They added a few people. Did they get exponentially better? No, not really. But then you look at McDaniels, and you're like, crap, man, that sucks. That sucks. That's a loss. Right. So maybe on the roster, you didn't get any better, any worse, or you certainly didn't get any worse, but now you've lost McDaniels. So that hurts. And then you look at the gang ring and they had arguably the best draft in I don't know, recent memory. So, they did really, really, really good to support their young quarterback. And I think Wilson's going to have a heck of a season. And if nothing else, the Jets will be finally interesting to watch again.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Wilson also. I think that it could probably be a changing of the guard in the AFC East. I think the Bills are probably going to be number one. They might be the best team in the league. But it's kind of a toss-up on who's that number two now between Miami, New York, and New England. So – but yeah, I'll go with Zach Wilson also. I'll agree with you guys. Just his weapons now. You had all those guys with Michael Carter and Corey Davis and all them still. Not to mention Elijah Moore is there also. So there's too many weapons now in New York for them not to be good. So the offseason has kind of been centered around Miami's weapons, adding Tyreek Hill, all the weapons there. The Jets have had a great offseason. Great offseason. The offensive line also, you guys mentioned that Patriots had the 9th best offensive line, but the Jets had the 11th. So there's not really a big difference there. So Give me Zach Wilson. I'll take the guy that whose team is providing a team around him over the guy whose team kind of just didn't really add a whole lot to help him out. So, moving on, our last two guys here, DJ Moore versus Michael Pittman. Last year, DJ Moore finished 18 in PPR. Michael Pittman finished 17 in PPR. So they're right there, right back to back. DJ Moore has still probably going to have poor quarterback play. I mean, they're still rolling with Sam Darnold. He's never passed the 4 TD mark in his career. I think he's going into like his 6th year now. So he's not really a touchdown scorer, whereas Michael Pittman is getting the great veteran in Matt Ryan. Big upgrade, I think, over Carson Wentz. Who you guys taking here?
So the only reason this is close is because DJ Moore has absolute shit quarterback play. Because if DJ Moore even has someone mildly competent, this wouldn't even be a conversation. Because DJ Moore has been one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, despite having basically nothing but under center for his entire career.
Yep.
But Michael Pittman Jr., I'm not disputing his talent. He's also a very skilled wide receiver. But Pittman has the better quarterback. He's got Matt Ryan. The Colts have said they wanted to make Pittman the Julio Jones role in that offense, and that spells great things because we all know what Julio Jones did in Atlanta with Matt Ryan all those years.
Yep.
That doesn't mean it's going to exactly translate, but it does, on paper spell good things. But if I had to pick between the two, I would still take DJ Moore because even though DJ Moore has had bad quarterback play, he still managed to produce. He's had over 1,000 yards receiving, I think 4 years in a row now. Admittedly, the touchdown column is lacking, but I think he could hopefully be due for a little positive regression in that area just by default. And I think it's close again because Pittman's in the better situation, but the talent is there, and DJ Moore is uber talented.
What's the age on these two?
Moore's 25 and Pittman's 24.
Oh, so they're right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one's hard. So if I'm going out and I'm trying to win this season, I'm taking Pittman, obviously because of the up season or the uptick in touches and everything else he's going to get with Matt Ryan and everything else. The immediate production that you get from Pittman. If I'm trying to win this year, I'm taking Pittman. If I'm okay with sitting for a couple years and seeing what Carolina does maybe next year in the draft and goes and gets one of those top tier quarterbacks and DJ Moore finally has a good partner behind center for him, then yeah, if I can wait a couple years for the Panthers to fix their QB, then cool, you take Moore because I agree. I think Moore is the more talented player. I think he has the higher upside long term. Because who knows what in the unholy heck's going to happen after Matt Ryan leaves. And realistically, let's just be honest. We expect Matt Ryan to go and do great things, but he could not. I mean, you don't know. And playing Matt Ryan, 2-3 times a year, if you include playoffs, twice a year, every year, I'm not massively over impressed with him. So we'll see what Matt Ryan can do. Is he better than Carson Wentz? Yes. Is he better than Phillip Rivers? Yes. I don't know. Pittman's going to have the more immediate upside for me. If I'm thinking, 2-3 years down the road, DJ Moore would be the take there. He is absolutely the more talented player.
Yeah, I agree. It's so hard because DJ Moore is kind of like a younger Allen Robinson now. I mean, the guy has produced with nothing at quarterback for so long. But Michael Pittman is a young receiver coming in the league. He's 6'4", 6'5", something like that. So he's going to be used in the red zone. He's going to score more touchdowns. But DJ Moore, if you get him a quarterback, I think he's probably top. I honestly think he probably has the upside to finish top 5 in the league. However, Michael Pittman, he's kind of more, I think his upside is top 10. Plus, you mentioned who knows what's going to happen after Matt Ryan. The Colts, since losing Andrew Luck, I believe that they've had a new starting quarterback every single year since Andrew Luck retired. So I could say, yes, Pittman has the better quarterback now, but who knows what's going to be next year. Because if Matt Ryan doesn't go out and ball out, who knows if they move on. Also, Matt Ryan is nearing the end of his career. He might retire. So I think if I had to choose one now, I'm going to go with DJ Moore, like you guys said, just with the sheer fact that I pray to God that they suck this year and go out and get one of the top 2 quarterbacks next year in the draft and finally figure it out, because I don't want DJ Moore to be that Allen Robinson type who never has a great quarterback. I get he's going to LA this year, and finally he's got a good, competent quarterback, so we'll see what happens there. But DJ Moore's got so much talent that it kind of sucks seeing it go to waste every year because the quarterback play is shit. So I'll go DJ Moore with you guys. So I don't think we disagreed on any of them, actually. So, but all right, moving on here. We will go on to our next segment here. I picked out 3 trades I saw on the Dynasty Nerds Facebook page, and we can go over it, evaluate it, and see which ones we like best. So, first trade here. You receive Albert O, Trevor Lawrence, and Brian Robinson. Send Christian McCaffrey, Ronald Jones, and a 2023 first. Who you guys got?
Do you know if this is Superflex or not?
It doesn't. It didn't say anything. That's in these ones. I couldn't find what it was. So we'll assume.
I feel like it has to be if you're sending out McCaffrey and a first for Lawrence, because Lawrence is the main part of that package.
Yeah.
But it's honestly pretty close for me. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Trevor Lawrence is uber talented, and he's breakouts coming sooner rather than later. But we know what Christian McCaffrey can still do, and he's not exactly old yet. Ronald Jones has a chance to be productive in the KC offense. It's the 2023 first for me. I'm a pick hound, so I guess maybe it's just my bias showing, but I love collecting draft picks. And a 2023 first, I mean, we don't know. That could be a mid-round pick. That could be an early pick. And that could turn into somebody like a Bijan Robinson, who we all know has been an absolute stud in college, and that's likely going to translate in the NFL. Or, one of those top prospects like C.J. Stroud or your Bryce Young. Again, we don't know. It's the allure, it's the mystery, the exciting possibilities. So I like the draft pick side, but that could be just me.
So I tend to not like to give up my picks. That being said, I guess for me, kind of like Charlie was asking, it would be helpful to know a bit more about each team's roster, at least one of the individuals' rosters. Because if you're giving up T.Y., you're going to assume that you either have more quarterbacks, a vet presence, and you're going to hold on to that first round in the hopes that it's a higher end first round pick and you can go replace him next year and then take McCaffrey and Jones and go win yourself a Super Bowl this year, or a Super Bowl, but a fantasy championship this year with their assistants. Because McCaffrey, he's the wild card for me in that trade, because when he's good, he's on. Good Lord, there ain't a better scorer. He's good and he's on. It's points plethora, right? I've already spoke my piece on Jones. I don't have a whole lot of faith in him. And that first round pick, like Charlie said, it's a mystery. You just don't know where it's going to be. You don't know what you're going to be getting. It's a little alluring with me on this one. So,
all right, let me give you guys some more info on this trade. I'm looking at the Facebook thing, and this is my mistake here. So it says he has 223 firsts, and the one he gave up is most likely the last pick in the first round.
Ooh.
It is full PPR, tight end premium, super flex league, by the way.
You're giving up a tight end and a tight end premium, super flex. You're giving up your quarterback to receive a last pick in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does change things a little bit for me. Now that I know that, I think I would rather have give me the Lawrence side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a bit of a shocker right there. Yeah, okay, it helps to have context.
Yeah, that's my fault. I forgot to put the.
No, it's all good. It's funny. It just changes a lot. I mean, my God, it makes it seem way worse for the guy getting McCaffrey now. Jeez, I mean, does he think like he's one piece away from winning a ship? Does he just not need Lawrence? Like, I mean,
thank you. That's what I'm saying. If you're making this move and you're ready to win now, and you have, 2 or 3 veteran or even just other quarterbacks that you're okay with floating Lawrence, then cool. I'm glad that you were so good at drafting that you have that kind of capital. But
so
I just don't know.
I mean, yeah, compounding onto that, if you're so interested in winning now, why are you taking a 2023 first round pick? Why wouldn't you, try to get another asset that's going to help you win now? Unless you plan on flipping that pick for something else, which is possible. Why wouldn't you just try to get all the players that can help you now if you're so invested in getting McCaffrey and stuff like that? I don't know. That's an odd trade.
It is, because he's giving up. It's not like he gave up like 2 wide receivers and a QB. He's giving up like each category of player, which lets me know that either he's not paying attention, he's not understanding what he's giving up, or he's just like, whatever, I'm set at all these other positions except for running back. Now I need to go and upgrade my running backs, which is what McCaffrey and Jones are for, because you're trading for 2 running backs and a first round. So I don't know. You're going to do what, especially with a late first round? You're going to go, okay, I got my 2 running backs. Now I'll draft a wide receiver. Are you hurting at wide receiver? Because it's the only position you didn't trade. I don't know. That one's weird for me.
I don't know. I think this guy's either a moron or he thinks he's going to win the championship. It could be both.
And it could be a little bit A, a little bit of B there, like Charlie said. I'm going to keep T-Law and Alberto, and I'll take my chances.
Absolutely. It's Superflex tight end premium. Give me the guy who's good at both positions. It's not even a question.
I agree. Plus, McCaffrey's been hurt. Who knows what he's going to be like. I get he's still probably on talent-wise. He might still be the best running back in the league. But he's getting older, whereas Trevor Lawrence is, if they can figure it out, I mean, he could be a stud here in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So, give me Lawrence also. So, moving on here, trade 2, Michael Pittman for Rashad Bateman in 2023 first. Who you guys
Do we have any background on where that first pick is going to be before we start talking about it?
Started here.
I mean, while he looks that up, I think Charlie's brought it up now that, Hollywood's gone. You got Bateman there. So you're getting a number 1 and a number 1 on top of it. So depending on where that pick lies, man, I'll take the pick and Bateman all day long.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if that's a back end first, I still think I would want the Bateman in the first side.
Well, yeah, because you could take Bateman, or you have Bateman there, and then you could end up taking another wide receiver in the backside of the first end of that draft.
Because you could get a premium player in what's going to be a really good draft class. And you already get a number 1 wide receiver in Bateman. So it's nothing on Michael Pittman. We talked about Michael Pittman before. He's a talented wide receiver in a good spot. But speaking for Dynasty, Bateman in a first, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We saw Hollywood Brown succeed as the number 1 wide receiver with Lamar Jackson. And now that it's Rashad Bateman's turn. And I think Rashad Bateman is a much more well-rounded receiver than Hollywood Brown ever was.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the last trade about this person's either desperate to win now or just doesn't know what in the hell they're doing. And I think that the person who is paying Bateman in the first to get Pittman is either panic buying because they don't know what they're going to get and they want to go and win now. And I think Matt Ryan and Pittman together is going to be their saving grace. But man, they are giving up the entire cow for a bag of beans. I don't understand.
I don't know. I just think this guy's stupid and doesn't know anything about fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean, good Lord. If I'm the dude getting Bateman, Jesus, man, hit accept as quickly as you
smash that. Like,
you can.
I would look at that and do a double take. Like, is this actually a trade offer where I get the good side? Like, is that a thing? I'm not getting lowballed?
Like I would end up losing out on this trade because I would click it, like take a picture of it and send it to Meanie to be like, oh my God, dude, look what's happening. And then by the time I went back to accept it, the person would realize the mistake they made. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Bateman in the first without a question.
Yeah, that one's an easy one.
I agree. Pittman was 16. I'm trying to figure out where Bateman finished.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. There's no extenuating circumstances which want me to change my opinion on this trade whatsoever.
Yeah, literally, Godzilla could come out of the ground and eat Bateman, and I'm still taking the first round.
Yeah.
Right.
You could cancel the 2023 draft, and I would still take that side.
All right. Moving on here. Last trade here. Terry McLaurin, Tua, and 1-4 this year, which you can add a player, whoever. Going about that, we'll say it was.
What F trade is this?
We'll say it was Atlanta's guy.
Drake London.
Drake London. We'll just throw in a player, Drake London there.
Yeah, that's probably where he would go. So that's
for Lamar Jackson and Donovan Peoples-Jones.
What? This is like some weird ass kitchen sink trade. I don't know what's going on with this trade.
This doesn't make any sense.
Thank you.
Because I want to say on one hand, like, why are you selling Lamar? I'm just trying to think about this, like, if you're rebuilding. But then again, if you're rebuilding, why are you selling a quarterback that's in his prime in Lamar Jackson? It doesn't make any sense. Because Tua's kind of at the end of his rope with the Dolphins. We really haven't seen him prove too much yet. I know they got better with the weapons in the offseason, and then you're getting Terry McLaurin, who's going to have Carson Wentz throwing him the football, which is not that inspiring. And Drake London's fine. Drake London's probably the best part of that trade for whoever's on that side of the ball, in my opinion. Because Drake London is going to be an elite pass catcher for the Falcons for a long time, long time, as long as he doesn't leave. I mean, it's confusing. I mean, on paper, for talent-wise, I mean, just the collection of parts is probably the McLaurin, Pick, and Tua side. Just because you're getting, like the sum of all parts, I guess, and you can plug in multiple holes. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. So this is just kind of weird to analyze for me. It's close. It's a lot closer than some people might think. But I guess it's tight, but I guess I would take the other side. I don't know. Again, like Nick, you said it yourself. I really don't know what to think.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it, Meanie, that Stranger Things came out today, and we all want to go and watch it, but this is straight out of the Upside Down.
Yeah. Didn't know we were getting a preview before I was going to go watch it. Jeez.
Yeah, this is, like, freaking me out. Like, did you watch the Universe of Madness or whatever before you came and put this trade out here? Because I am, like, Doctor Strange and Wanda confused right now. So I'm looking at it, right? And I go, okay, so McLaurin and Donovan Peoples-Jones will kind of their situations, maybe that's a push. So then essentially you're looking at it as Tua and Drake London for Lamar Jackson, which doesn't make any unholy sense either. So I don't know. This seems like somebody just wanted to make a trade so they could show their friends they made a trade.
Thank you. That's it. This is a trade for trade's sake.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wins.
No one wins. That's what I'm saying. And if you really wanted to argue the brass tacks of it, I think the person giving up Lamar Jackson loses. I don't know. This is a weird one for me.
All right. So I will say this. Nobody wins, but I do think giving up Lamar is a loss.
Yes, that sucks.
So, yeah, I think we're 110% on the same page here, Nick. It's just it's a bizarro world. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this person was just like indoctrinated with a whole bunch of trades and was denying everything, and then finally was like, it's kind of, like, okay, fine, Jesus, fine, accept, Christ, stop sending me trade offers.
Maybe he accidentally accepted this.
Maybe. I mean, if he did, then I feel sorry for him. But
yeah. Stupid.
Yeah, because you really have, realistically, the person who's trading the McLaurin side of it, there's three complete unknowns. Because, like Mean said, you have Carson Wentz throwing to McLaurin. So his season is it's almost forfeit. You have no idea what you're going to get there. Okay, Tua. All right, well, Tua has weapons, but he hasn't done anything with the weapons he has, and he's been riled in controversy since he went to the Dolphins. So you don't know what that's going to happen. Then you have Drake London, who, like Charlie wisely said, is the biggest draw to this trade, but you have no idea who's going to be his quarterback a year from now. You have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So as far as I'm concerned, I consider Tua, Terry, and kind of Peoples-Jones to be a little bit of a wash. I'm going to kind of pool all of them together because we've seen Tua, like you said, Nick, Tua hasn't produced. He's got weapons, but we really don't know. He's a bit of an enigma. So I kind of compare this as Drake London to Lamar Jackson a little bit, and obviously I'd rather have Lamar Jackson. But again, this just doesn't make any sense for anybody. But I guess you don't want to be giving up Lamar Jackson in this scenario. So I guess getting Lamar is a win technically. But again, we were beating a dead horse. This is a trade for trade's sake. It doesn't make any sense. Somebody messed up. This sucks.
Yep, this is an ugly trade. This is a trade that's going to keep me up tonight, so I appreciate that.
So the guy that traded for Lamar Jackson, okay, gave away Tua, Terry, and the 1-4, says he turned the team from shit to serviceable, and at 1-4, I don't get anybody I love like Breece Walker or London. He doesn't like Terry at all either, so he's selling him everywhere. So this is kind of just getting you guys off your team, I believe. That you don't want.
This is a vendetta trade, my dude. You can't do that in fantasy football. All right? I hate Aaron Rodgers, but I still draft him if he's there.
I agree.
This is why you can never fall in love with players, or you can hate them, because you'll either overdraft them and they're going to suck, or you're going to hate them and stay away from them and they're going to be really good. You can't let personal feelings get involved.
You can't. I mean, for God's sakes, what was it, Meanie? 3 years ago, we saw Rob Gronkowski go number 1 overall in our draft just because it was the guy's favorite player. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. It's a vendetta trade.
You got to take feelings out of fantasy football.
Yeah.
You know, I'll hand it to you, Meanie. These were 3 hilarious trades because I think in all of them there was at least one person being a fucking moron.
Yeah, there was at least one person where you could definitely tell it got the ass in this situation. I don't really know what's going on.
So I'm going to say this. If we keep bringing back this segment on a weekly basis, this is going to be hilarious. So,
yeah. I don't know what we can do.
I like this segment. So we'll keep doing this for sure. I'll pick out some trades because there's tons of trades on there every week. So
yeah,
I'll keep doing this. So
this is going to be like the come on man section of
come on, man.
We'll try it.
Yeah, this is good.
We'll call it what in the tweet hell. All right.
There you go. I like it.
All right, that will do it for us, guys. That's all we got. So make sure you tune in on the fantasycoaches.com. We just did a staff article on the veterans that were impacted positively after the draft. So make sure you guys check that out. We got a lot of good stuff up there. But that's all I got for you guys. Have a good week, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.